Hello. It says I'm live here. Hi, it's Lisa Rossmeissl with Boomerang Escapes, your Aussie travel expert, here for another episode of Why Australia. So I am so happy to have you join me all today. We're going to take a look at wildlife this week, starting with one of the amazing animals. Let me just do a double check here. Make sure everything is working properly. I have not seen the go that says that I'm go live here yet. One second. Sorry for this technology. I just want to make sure that I'm actually up. And yes, okay. I can't always see it, so that's why I wanted to just double check. So anyway, yes, we're going to dive into a bit of the wildlife. One of the amazing things about Australia is the fact that the wildlife there that they have, it exists nowhere else. They have some of the most unusual animals, and we're going to talk about one today, the platypus. And I have a little story to share of why I'm starting with him. But before we get going on that, I just wanted to remind you, as I said, I'm the owner of Boomerang Escapes, and I have been a certified Aussie travel specialist with Australia Tourism now for over 10 years. And part of what I do, besides creating fantastic custom vacation experiences to Australia, is I love to share my passion of this destination with you. So one of the things we're going to start out with, and you can find this in my weekly newsletter, is some of the Aussie lingo. So the word for this week, or the phrase for this week, from my handy dandy lingo book here, is water burner. If you have any ideas on what a water burner might be, and you're online with me right now, then you can pop it in the comments below. For this week, from my handy dandy lingo book here. Nope, I've got double feed going on. Just a second. All right, there we go. So a water burner is a bad cook. But you don't have to worry if you're ever hanging out with me, or you have the pleasure of me rallying something up in the kitchen for you. I happen to be a very good cook, so I would not be called a water burner. Though I do have a bad habit sometimes of setting myself or other things in the kitchen on fire. So another story to be told. So anyway, we're going to start with this little guy. I have a little cute plush toy of the platypus from the Taronga Zoo that I was given on one of my last trips down there. So the story about him is he sort of is the reason that I think I fell in love with Australia. One of the questions I always get from people is, what made me in love with the country? And of course, I think it was the wildlife, but I think it all started with this guy, because when I was a little girl, there is a little golden book called Rabbit and His Friends that was written in 1974 by Richard Scarry. And the story is actually about a platypus, even though it's called Rabbit and His Friends. But Rabbit and his friends find this egg, and they wait for the egg to hatch, and out comes this, interesting creature. And there's a rabbit, there's a duck, there's a beaver. I forget who else is one of Rabbit's friends. But they're all like, oh, well, maybe you're a duck because you have a bill like me. Well, maybe you're a beaver because you have a tail like me. And, so they do all these things trying to figure out who this new little friend of theirs belongs to. And I remember that story was read to me as a little girl. And I think that started my love for not only the wildlife in Australia, but Australia herself. So that's why I'm starting my wildlife with this little guy. So some interesting features, like we just mentioned, of course, he's an egg-laying mammal, which that's not normal. He can be found in eastern Australia, including Tasmania, which is their island state. He is the only mammal that lays eggs. He has the duck bill. He does have the beaver tail. He has feet that are more like an otter, which kind of confused when the Europeans first came to Australia. They were really confused about this creature, and actually when they would be told stories about him, they thought it was all fabrication. They didn't believe that this little guy existed. He is one of the few species that's actually a venomous mammal. So the male on one of his hind legs actually has a thorn or spur, I guess more of a spur on his hind foot, and he is able to deliver venom of that, and it actually can cause quite severe pain to a human being such as ourselves. They are an iconic symbol of Australia. They appear as a mascot at national events, and the interesting thing is they also appear on the back of the 20-cent coin, the 20-cent piece that they have. And he is also on the emblem of the state of New South Wales. Now, New South Wales is where Sydney is located. So Sydney is the capital of New South Wales, and he is the emblem for that state. So he's kind of an interesting little creature. He is one that I have not actually gotten to have firsthand experience in, though one of the best places to see him, I do have a relationship with that place. One of the best places to actually see this notoriously shy guy, because they're not out and about all day, is Healesville Zoo, which is in the Yarra Valley, northeast of Melbourne. Now, why I say I have a relationship with Healesville is I am one of their wombassadors. So what is a wombassador? I provide support for the care, research, and of the wombats. But if you go to this place in Victoria, it is possible to give this guy a little tickle and see this elusive creature. What the experience involves in Healesville is you're going to step into a pair of waders and into a platypus play pool to frolic with one of these guys, because they are very difficult to spot in the wild. It's a very special animal experience. It first debuted back in 2013, and it's the first of its kind, and it's very limited, so it is something that if you're interested in, it is something that we do need to do in advance, sign up for in advance if you want to have this experience, because it is only available to 10 zoo visitors a week. That's 10, only 10 in 1 week. So it's not something that you're going to be able to show up at the zoo and hope to get if you haven't made arrangements ahead of time. So it is something we can put on your thing. Melbourne does make a great hub spot for doing day tours, and Melbourne itself is a fantastic city. I think I mentioned last week that I just had clients that came back from Melbourne and did the Australian Open tennis tournament tickets. So just something to do. There is another place, if you're into snorkeling, that you can do. This one's up in Queensland in the Mackay region. It's a tropical area up in Queensland, known for waterfalls, rainforest, volcanic soils, and here you do have the opportunity to snorkel with them. The dive usually takes place at dawn or dusk, when these guys are most active, and you can slip under the water and look for them and swim with them. Watch out, you also see turtles, fish, and other fascinating marine life as well. So those are two opportunities where we can create and build this wildlife experience into your Australian itinerary so that you can meet this cute little guy. He is very unusual looking. Sorry to get sidetracked there. But those are just two things, and that is kind of what I do as an Australia travel expert, is take some of your passions, wildlife being one of the great things to incorporate in an Australia experience. As I mentioned, he's one of several animals that can only be found in the wild in Australia. If you find any of them here, they're going to be in zoos and have been brought over from abroad. And some of them are not even brought over from abroad. So consider that, but we do design custom experience. And I'm going to keep this short and sweet for you this Sunday. Remember, we are here on Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll have to think, maybe we'll go wine and food next week, or actually this week is Valentine's coming up on Thursday, so I think next week we will take a look at the Southern Great Barrier Reef and check out Heart Reef. So until next time, enjoy your Sunday. Have a great week. Bye for now.